Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're digging into a seriously eye-opening text called The Comfort of the Known, Why Familiar Feels Safe. And honestly, it completely flips the script on almost everything we assume about how our own minds operate. So buckle up, because what we're going to uncover today suggests that our brains, yep, they really aren't steering the ship the way we think they are.
I want to start by throwing a question your way right out of the gate, a really foundational one straight from our source material. Does your brain actually care what's right? I mean, we all kind of pride ourselves on being logical, right? We think we gather the facts, weigh the pros and cons, and boom, we pick the path that's morally or practically correct. We just assume our mind is this ultimate truth-seeking machine. But the opening premise of the text we're looking at today stops that whole idea dead in its tracks.
Right off the bat, the source text hits us with this absolutely massive, unyielding statement. Quote, "Your brain doesn't care what's right." Just let that sink in for a second. Think about all that time you spend agonizing over making the right choice. Well, according to this analysis of human nature, your brain's main operating system isn't even looking for correctness at all. It's hunting for something completely different, and it's something wired deep, deep down in our psychology.
And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate tug-of-war we deal with every single day, the silent, ongoing battle between what is right versus what is known. The text points out that, sure, your conscious mind might be up there trying its best to reach the right outcome, but the underlying hardware of your brain, it's actively prioritizing the known outcome. The source makes it clear that familiarity is literally a superpower in the brain. It's so overwhelmingly strong, in fact, that it completely steamrolls our intellectual desire just to be correct.
So you might be wondering, how does a thought or an action become known to the brain in the first place? Well, the text lays it out with absolute simplicity. What you repeat. Let's actually slow down our pacing right here to really start peeling the onion on this concept. Think about the everyday actions you just loop through on autopilot, the way you instantly react when you're stressed, or those little routines you fall into without even blinking. We are profoundly creatures of repetition. And the source suggests that every single time we loop through these actions, we're carving a deeper pathway, basically teaching our brain exactly what to expect.
What the source text is actually doing here is mapping out this really profound psychological mechanism. Let's turn these poetic lines into a stark, logical progression. It's like a cycle of the known. Step 1, you repeat it. Whatever the behavior is, you just do it over and over. Step 2, because you keep doing it, the text as it becomes comfortable. All that repetition builds this easy, frictionless routine. But then bam, we hit step 3, the trap. It becomes limiting. And the absolute brilliance of this source material is how it connects these dots. The repetition creates the comfort, and then that very comfort becomes the cage.
What's super fascinating here is the sheer contradiction of it all, comfortable versus limiting. In our normal daily lives, we usually think of comfort as a purely good thing, right? A safe harbor, a place to just chill. But this text argues that this exact feeling of safety is often the very thing holding us back. When our patterns get a little too cozy, they stop serving our growth and start putting a ceiling on our potential. We unknowingly trade our own expansion just for a simple feeling of safety.
And then the text drops one of its heaviest, most sobering lines. Even if it's wrong. I mean, wow. This right here summarizes the absolute core of the argument. This is where the true danger lies. The brain's craving for that familiar comfort is so absolute that it totally overrides logic. You can sit there and logically know for a fact that a habit or a situation is toxic or actively harmful for you, but your brain will fiercely defend it simply because it's what it already knows. Wild, right?
Let's move to and see how this builds, bringing us to what the text identifies as the turn. This is where the source material shifts from the invisible gears turning in our heads to the actual real-life consequences. Quote, "So you stay in the same patterns." It brings the focus directly to you. We just stay in these holding patterns. And the source is about to hand us a very specific, totally paradoxical reason why we refuse to break out of them.
To unpack this turn, the text contrasts two really vital ideas: staying in a pattern because it works versus staying because it is predictable. This perfectly captures the paradox of why we keep completely broken systems running in our lives. We usually assume, hey, if I keep doing this, it must be working for me on some level. But the text forces us to look in the mirror. We aren't choosing functionality, we're choosing predictability. To your brain, a broken, messy routine that you understand inside and out feels infinitely safer than a perfectly healthy routine you've never experienced.
Let's really reinforce this predictability paradox because it is absolutely essential to this entire explainer. According to the text, why do we stay? Point 1, not because they work. Point 2, but because they are predictable. Knowing exactly what is going to happen next, even if the next thing is terrible or super frustrating, has a way stronger grip on human psychology than the mere possibility of achieving a great but uncertain outcome.
Which leads us to a concept we can call the illusion of good. This perfectly sets up the final, overarching theme of our source text. You see, as humans, we are absolute pros at justifying our own lives. We tell ourselves we maintain our habits because there's some underlying good to them. We build this massive, elaborate illusion to rationalize our choices, when really, we're just masking our brain's desperate need for the known. And the text is preparing to shatter that illusion completely.
As we near the ending, the text just strips away all of our excuses with this brutal, yet strangely empathetic clarity. Quote, "You don't stay because it's good." It directly challenges that cozy little lie we all cling to. It's basically asking us to stop kidding ourselves about the nature of our long-term choices. It forces us to just admit that sometimes things are simply not good for us, and yet we are the ones actively choosing to stay in them anyway.
Well, hey there. That battery can last up to 24 hours even with the always-on display turned on. It's pretty cool.
So the crucial point is right here. You stay because it's familiar. That is the raw, unvarnished truth at the absolute center of this source material. After that pause, the text just delivers this final knockout punch. The familiar is like an unstoppable gravitational force. It doesn't ask if a pattern is actually beneficial. It only asks if you recognize it. Familiarity is the brain's ultimate proxy for safety, and that right there is the unchanging reason why we stay.
As we bring this explainer to a close, I want to leave you with a direct challenge. Look at your own patterns. Ask yourself right now, honestly, are they actually good or are they just familiar? It's a pretty provocative question, I know, but it is literally the key to understanding the source text's deeper meaning for your own life. Once you recognize that your brain is just chasing the comfort of the known, you can finally begin to make choices based on what is actually right. Thank you so much for exploring this with me today. Keep learning, and whatever you do, keep questioning the familiar.